Hi ladies, in today's video I'm going to show you guys what a lack of accountability can affect you on all levels of your life. A lot of you do not seriously see how impactful accountability is in your lives. It can make you lose a lot of important things, both within your families, the relationships that you keep, the friendships that you keep, even within your professional and financial life. So accountability is bigger than a lot of you think. This video is not designed to attack you guys in any way. This is a space of love. And I want, when you guys, after you watch this video, in everything that I'm going to say to you guys, I want you to sit with yourself and ask yourself, am I this type of woman? Do I behave in this specific way? And this thing will help a lot of you transform and will help a lot of you become better women in this society and for the things that you want for your lives. Now, we are going to start with the first part, what a lack of accountability does to you as an individual, from an individual level. One of the first things that will happen to you when, as an individual, as a woman, when you lack accountability, is that you will stop growing as a woman. You won't grow. Your personality will remain stagnant, will remain in a certain place, and your mindset and your behavior will be stuck in a specific realm. You won't understand that if you don't change, you won't see that you are wrong at times. You won't even say to yourself that I need to change in certain aspects of my life. So you become specific. You think, that's why some of you even say things like, you need to love me the way I am. That's the lack of growth that I'm speaking about. That's how you become stagnant. You are so comfortable with bad behaviors and a bad mindset that you think that's who you are. And until you realize how important accountability really is, you will never grow as a person. You will never grow as a woman. You will never be able to keep relationships in your life. Men will walk out of your life. You will lose jobs. You will always change friends all the time. Because you are never wrong. You are always the victim in every little thing that you do. And sometimes, unfortunately, I'm going to say this to you guys. That's why some of you end up becoming baby mamas. Because you do not realize that you contribute to some of your problems. And I remember when I made this video, I told you guys, I'm not attacking you guys. This is a space where a lot of you need to self-reflect. But let's move on. A lot of you, when you lack self-accountability as individuals, you develop this victim mentality. I just told you guys that everyone is your enemy. You are the victim in everything else, but you never contribute to anything else. And victim mentality delays a lot of you. It makes and destroys a lot of relationships that could have been vital to a lot of you. So that victim mentality thing, it's something that a lot of you have. When you see this video, you'll realize that you are this type of lady. You develop a victim mindset. You are never the perpetrator in your story, or the stories that you provide people, the narratives that you push. So please do better. And part of victim mentality is that a lot of you lose self-awareness. You can't sit down and reflect with yourself that I'm 35 years old. I've had so many friend groups. Why are all of my friend groups ending all the time? Why am I losing relationships? You don't have self-awareness. You don't want to sit with yourself and ask yourself, why are all these bad things happening to you? But no, you tell yourself that you are the victim. People hate you. They don't want to love you. You are a good woman. You could be a woman who doesn't cheat, but it doesn't mean that you are fit to be in a relationship. It doesn't mean that you are a nice person to be around. So there's a lot of things that a lot of you need to understand after watching this video, that you need to change a lot of the aspects about your mindsets. Another thing that comes from this victim mindset is that women that have a victim mentality, you tend to repeat the same mistakes. You never sit down with yourselves and examine, where did I go wrong, or what went wrong in this situation. In all of the circumstances that you've been in, you've never sat down with yourself and asked yourself what went wrong. Where did the misunderstanding start? Where did the conflict start? You don't have those things. A lot of women that have victim mentality are women that don't have conflict resolution skills. You lack those parts about yourselves. And I told you, when in this video, I am not attacking any of you. I'm having a heart-to-heart conversation with you guys to see how much damage a lack of accountability does to the character of a woman. And please don't say, but the man, I'm talking to you guys. Don't tell me about men. Right now, I'm talking to you guys. Men can also come to my platform. If you want to hear stuff about men, you will see there's a podcast on my YouTube. On that podcast, I speak directly to the men. It's called Tetamjit. But right now, I'm having a conversation with you guys. So a lot of you repeat the same mistakes because you don't have self-awareness. You don't sit down with yourself and reflect where things went wrong in your lives. And here's a tendency of women that are that have this victim mindset. A lot of you are emotionally immature. Too much. You behave like children. You throw tantrums. You make noise. You shout. You quarrel all the time with people. There is never a space where somebody can have a civilized conversation with you guys, especially if you are the one who is in the wrong. You always lash out to people. You are immature. You're emotionally immature. You can't regulate yourselves, a lot of you. You can't. Most definitely. And this is the other part of this emotional immaturity that comes in. A lot of you develop excuses instead of solutions. You make excuses for everything. You never create solutions for how you interact with people, the mishaps that you have with individuals, the relationships that fall apart. You never create that environment. You never sit down and speak to yourselves and say, hey, you see here, I think this might be the solution for this type of situation. Or maybe I just need to go apologize because I was wrong. You'll never do that because you're a victim. I get away. And now, a lot of these types of girls, they tend to depend on external validation a lot. A lot of you externalize your validation and you want to be around other women that agree with you. And the minute somebody calls you out, you turn them into your enemy. You don't want to recognize when you are in the wrong. Everybody is always wrong and you don't want to be shown. So you want to be with another circle of witches where you guys agree with one another and you lie to each other. It's a problem, that thing. It's deeper than you guys realize. But let's move on because I don't want to make this video way too long. Let's keep cooking. Another thing that a lot of you struggle with, right, is it's simple. It goes back to the previous one, the external validation part. But now this one is that you struggle to receive criticism. You don't want to be criticized. Everything is an attack when you become criticized. When somebody points out your mistake, but show me you were wrong here, you did, immediately you see that as an attack. You don't see it as a resolution or as feedback. A lot of you can't take feedback. You really can't take feedback. You can't take feedback within the relationships that you have. You can't take feedback in even the smallest parts of your lives. So it's really important for you guys to understand that when you are this type of person, you can't take criticism. You really can't take criticism. Now we're going to move on. And the part of a person who cannot take criticism is that a lot of you tend to be defensive when you become confronted. You shut down. You shut down the communication. You don't want to hear what's been said to you, or you divert and you blame other people instead of listening to what's been said to you. You create a defensive mechanism. And these are one of the few aspects of this emotional immaturity I was speaking about earlier on. So you realize how big this problem is, that how many of you struggle with these types of things. Now, when you are a person who's emotionally immature, you are not able to take criticism, you have a defensive mechanism. The one thing that will always happen is that you always lose control over the narrative. You twist stories, you make ideologies that are non-existent in your mind, because you don't want to accept the reality that you might be a messed up person. You might need to do a lot of internal work, that you are not nice to be around, that even within your beauty, your intelligence and all of that, you are not a nice person to be around. So you lose reality of the narrative that is being presented to you. You then create stories and create dialogues that never existed, and then you go lie on what the facts were at a specific time when people were disagreeing with you. Part of the problem with women that cannot take accountability is you don't like when people disagree with you, when people point out that you are the problem. You then go create narratives that are not existent in your head, and you present those narratives to other people to lie about other people, not to make yourself look like you're the bad guy. For instance, in relationships, you could date a man just because you were wrong in that relationship. You're going to say that man was a cheater, he was a liar, he was a narcissist. That time it is you who is the narcissist. You understand how deep this is? Like, when you're a woman who can't take accountability, it's like you're suffering from psychosis. You are not coherent to what's happening right now, or you don't even want to accept what is currently happening in the timeline that we're in right now. And now, when you are these types of women that I'm describing, you lose opportunities for self-improvement. You can't grow as this type of person. There's no space for growth. There's no space for learning because you don't want to learn. You don't want to change. So it becomes difficult to deal with people like you. So you realize how bad this problem is. It's a really, 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 really bad problem. So people like you are not easy to be around. People like you are not easy to deal with. And now, for the fact that you don't want to self-improve, you don't want to grow and change, you develop resentment. You start hating people for trying to correct you. You start hating individuals for trying to show you that you are the problem. You see how bad it is. And we are just on the first part. This is just what it does to you as an individual. Now imagine other parts of your lives. It's a scene. A lot of you who have this lack of accountability, you develop a fragile state or a fragile sense of low self-esteem. You don't want to develop yourself to a point where you are accountable, you are responsible, you acknowledge your mistakes. So you tend to not be coherent to every little thing that is happening. So your self-esteem depends on only when people are agreeing with you. When people disagree with you, you hate that. You can't be around that type of energy. You really hate when people disagree with you. When people point out your shortcomings. A lot of you don't like that thing. You really despise it. Because now, for you to admit to your mistakes, it's problematic. It feels like when you're admitting to your mistakes, it's like you are admitting that you're a bad person. And it's not about that. Admitting to your mistakes, it shows that you have errors. And sometimes you don't always do the right thing. But because you are going to have to admit that you were not interacting with people in the right way, to you, you feel like it's going to make you a bad person. Hence why a lot of you don't want to admit. Shame is one of the biggest feelings that a lot of ladies cannot swallow. So you don't want to be shamed. You don't want to accept the reality that you are not who you think you are. So we're going to move on. Let me just finish the first one. Now, the part of the individual part, the last part of it is that, sorry, a lot of ladies who lack accountability tend to be stuck in the same cycles. You have the same relationship problems. That's why you keep dating the same men, because you don't want to change. You don't want to evolve. You have different types of friendships, and these friendships always bring up the same drama and the same problems because you don't want to change. And it always brings a lot of financial problems also when you are this type of person, because you don't want to take accountability for anything. You don't want to be a responsible individual. So this is the first part, where what a lack of accountability does to you as an individual. I hope you guys are still with me. Now let's move on. Now, what does a lack of accountability do to your romantic life? Now we are getting to the relationships. That's one of the most difficult ones that a lot of you deal with. A lot of arguments that you guys are going to have in relationships never become resolved because you don't want to take accountability. You don't want to take responsibility. You don't want to see that you are the problem. A lot of you, when you lack accountability within relationships, is that you always want to weaponize other people's mistakes. You weaponize your partner's mistakes. But when your partner tries to make you reflect, to make you see yourself in the mirror, you hate that. You become the victim again. Remember, we spoke about victim mentality. You want to victimize yourself. No, I only did that because you did this. You understand? That's what some of the problems. I'm going to try and keep this short, but I'm not going to take away from the explanations that I'm going to give you guys, because I took a lot of time to make this video and write it down for you guys. Let's move on. Now, the problem with dating a woman that doesn't know how to take accountability is that you constantly have to work on eggshells. Everybody needs to appease your feelings. Everybody must not disagree with you. Everybody must not correct you. The minute they correct you, there's fights, there's drama. So a lot of men choose not to fight. They avoid not to fight because they do love you, but they know that bringing up things that you are doing wrong is always it's never gonna end in consensus. It's always gonna end with a fight all the time. And that's the issue that a lot of you have. Communication deteriorates when you're dating women that lack accountability. Because how do I communicate with somebody who doesn't want to listen to me? How do I communicate with somebody who doesn't want to be shown, who doesn't want to be corrected? Because there's always a communication breakdown. Everything will always lead to a fight. So rather avoid. And then you ask yourself, no, he's not talking to me anymore. He tried talking to you. You didn't want to listen. And that's the problem that a lot of you have. Now with that, trust will always disappear. Sorry. Trust will always disappear. Because the tendency that a lot of women that lack accountability is that you tend to break your promises. You always promise to change. You always promise to do better. But you never change. You repeat the same things. You react the same way. You do the same things that you've been doing in previous relationships, in previous circles. So you understand how deep this issue really is. That a lot of you don't want to change. You always want to remain the way you are. So trust in relationship doesn't grow. And this builds resentment in relationships. Your man ends up low-key hating you. I think you've seen that trend where the moment when you started hating your girlfriend, these are some of the instances. You hate her because she doesn't keep to her word. She repeats the same things. She is constantly disrespectful. And when you bring it up, she says, okay, baby, I'm sorry. And this is a problem that some of you ladies have. You believe when you apologize, it makes the thing to be better. It doesn't. I'm not saying men are perfect. Men also do the same thing. But I told you guys, I am talking to you. I'm not talking to the man. So it builds resentment. Your man ends up hating you because you keep doing the same things. You never change. You don't want to change in actuality. Wow. Now, this is what happens to you guys when you lack accountability. Women that lack accountability always attract the same relationship dynamics. Your relationships never change because you inhibit the same behavior, and that behavior becomes your energy, becomes your mindset. So you end up having the same types of partners all the time. And you ask yourself why. You are the problem. It can't be that you can be in 10 relationships and all of those men are doing the same things to you. You are the problem. And that's why accountability needs to come into the chat. Or a lot of you, you're not the victims that you're presenting yourselves to be. You are actually the perpetrators of your own lives. And these unhealthy relationship dynamics manifest over time. You don't want to change, most. Because now this is where the problem is. Even if you do find a healthy partner, they will be exhausted of you. They'll be tired of you. Because you talk to this woman, she doesn't listen. You try to correct her, she fights. So there's no space for nothing to germinate and grow in that space. Because you are the killer of all the relationships that you keep. Because number one, you sabotage those relationships. Intentionally and unintentionally. Your subconscious has registered so many conflicting information and data that you don't realize that you are doing the same thing. You are in relationship number 20. And you've been doing the same thing over and over again. But somehow in this story, the victim is you. No. And this is the thing about you ladies that lack accountability, is that in relationships, you struggle to repair relationships after conflict. Because you don't know what is conflict resolution. You don't know how to go and apologize and acknowledge what exactly you're apologizing for. And where you went wrong and do better from that. That's another problem that a lot of you have. We are going to the third part, where what a lack of accountability does to you as a woman within the friendships that you keep. Your friends become tired of hearing the same problems. The people who know women's behavior are women who are friends with other women. They know the narrative. They're gonna hear the same problems. Show me this, and they are tired of even telling you and correcting you because they know. Because they themselves become reluctant to give you advice because they know you are also going to fight them. So they just look at you, yeah, show me, you're right. He's a dog. And then when you leave, they gossip about you. She's starting again. I feel sorry for that man. That man is going through a lot. She doesn't realize she has a good man. That's why sometimes your friends end up wanting your man because they see you have a good thing, but you can't see it for yourself. Your friends may end up always telling you what you want to hear instead of telling you the truth because they also know they've known you longer than the people that you date. So they know that, this one you tell her the truth. Woo, World War III. It's a fight. It's a fight. So they always also avoid that interaction with you. And if you're not going to learn how to become an accountable woman, you are going to lose friendships because of repeated conflicts. The same cycle will repeat itself. I said this earlier on in the video, that women that lack accountability can't keep friends. You can't keep friends. And that's a telltale sign. I know it, and I can tell. When you're only saying people are fighting with you, blah, blah, blah. It's you. The problem is you. No. And the thing is, you must understand, if you lack accountability, people will automatically perceive you as a dramatic person. This one, she's not nice to be around. She's dramatic. She's always creating drama and all these things. And that's not a nice thing for people to perceive about. You might not care, but you'll pay the cost in the long run. And the problem is, you as a person who doesn't want to take accountability, you always feel like you're misunderstood. Instead of realizing that, okay, for people to misunderstand you, what is the problem? What is the diagnosis? And then you come with the remedy. So a lot of you don't want to acknowledge that the diagnosis and the problem is you. No. And now the character part of also, I said it earlier on with the victim mentality thing. A lot of women that have a victim mentality mindset always end up creating unnecessary competition with other women. You are in constant competition with other women. Sometimes they don't even know you. Sometimes you do know them, but you create unnecessary competition. That's one of the character flaws that a lot of you have. You and a lot of these women that create these types of competitions have a specific mindset or specific behaviors. A lot of them, they are unable to celebrate other people's success. You can't celebrate another woman's happiness. No. Or even a man, you can't celebrate anyone's happiness when you always want to find faults. Hey, she's got a good man, bad. You always putting buts in other people's successes. It's bad. And this leads to friends keeping their distance because they can see, this one is a jealous person. You think that people are always isolating from you, but people are trying to keep away from you because they see your energy and your mindset. This one, she's a jealous person. She's not nice to be around. She can't celebrate other people. Your social circle will always decrease, and you'll always invite people that are exactly like you. And you ask yourself, why your friendships never last? You are friends with people that are like you. That's why the guys are constantly fighting. There's always drama all the time. That's what you attracted in your life, and vice versa with the men that you date. That's what you brought into your life. Now we are getting to the last two parts, but we're going to number 4, right? Number 4 of this is that a lack of accountability to a woman, how is it going to affect her family relationships? Women that lack accountability, you start seeing it with the family pattern. The family pattern will always tell you that in her family, there's never been resolved conflicts. Nobody ever came to apologize to anyone. There was never a sit down and intervention of any sort. Now, that behavior from a family is manifested to all parts of her life. That's the first part that you must know about women that lack accountability. Some of them even end up blaming their parents' infidelity for their adult problems. That my father was not there, my father hurt me, my mom and father got divorced, blah, blah, blah. All of these sobby childhood stories. Even men do the same thing. But I'm talking to you guys. I'm not talking to the men. The men will get their own separate video. And another thing is that a lot of these types of women always struggle. How do I put this? They always struggle to acknowledge how her behavior affects her children. Hey, you see, this one is a difficult one. Women that lack accountability don't see how they treat their kids. A lot of you are bad mothers. Women that lack accountability, you are bad mothers. You don't see your own treatment of your own children. How will you even see it with your boyfriend, your husband, or even your own parents? Let alone your own children. Women that lack accountability usually make the worst mothers because you are unable to apologize. You are unable to acknowledge where you are wrong, and that's the biggest problem that a lot of you have. You guys make the worst mothers. Women that lack accountability. And now with that is that women that lack accountability, their sibling relationships will never be fine. They're always strained. They will never change. There's always conflict. Every family gathering is a fight. Yeah, you did this to me in 1997. Yeah, blah. Because they can't forgive. Blah, blah, blah. And all these types of things. Or you can't accept that people are seeing you as the problem. So you see how deep this issue really is. And now a lot of you always expect your families to be the ones who are going to appease your feelings, who are always going to be the ones who come to rescue you when you have problems and all these things. But you never want to play your part as a sibling to also help them with some of the things they also struggle with. So, hey, this issue is deep, but I tried to write it down in a very concise way where it makes it simpler for a lot of people to process, so that I don't make an hour video or 2 hour video, or because it's going to be too long. But I will keep it as short as I can. Now, you see, the thing with this, from an individual level, from relationships and within families and within friendships, is that women that lack accountability, it's difficult to develop boundaries with them. It's tough to build boundaries with them because you always overstep other people's boundaries. When they do the same thing, you see it as an attack, but you don't see that you always overstep. You disrespect people. You don't know how to talk properly. You listen to respond. You can't acknowledge when you are wrong. You don't listen to understand. You always misinterpret people and create misunderstandings and narratives in your mind. You see how bad this thing is. And even your own family, they're exhausted of you. They don't want to deal with you. The minute they know you are coming, they always want to avoid you. All the time. They always want to avoid you. The last part is this. Old conflicts will continue for years because nobody takes responsibility. Especially you. You don't take responsibility of nothing. So every time you're with your family, it will always end in a fight. There's no discourse. There's no remedy for anything that you do in your life. Now, this is what it does. We're going to number 5. What this does to your social life as a woman. Your reputation will change. People know you would don't deal with that girl. She's like this. People may begin seeing you as a difficult person to deal with. And it's not that they see you, that you are a personal person, you're a difficult person to deal with. And that's the truth. You may always be constantly involved in interpersonal drama. With you, there's always drama. There's nothing where you do anything with peace. You are always involved in drama. And that's what a lack of accountability does to a lot of you. You can develop this mindset or this everyone is against me worldview, where you've told yourself that everybody's against you when you are the problem. You understand how bad that thing is. You change narrative and you change stories. You make stories in your mind that everybody's against you, but the problem is you. Now let's move on. People become cautious around you because they know things are not going to end well. You struggle to maintain long-term relationships. That's another thing. You end up burning bridges without even realizing. You always burn bridges without realizing. You surround yourself with people that want to reinforce your idea of this false worldview that people are always against you. You don't want to surround yourself with people that disagree with you. You don't want that. And you may confuse being supported with being agreed with. What that means is, to you, when somebody loves you, when somebody is good to you, is when they agree with you. When they disagree with you, you think they hate you, they are your enemy, all those types of things. You see how bad this thing is. But we're going to wrap it up. This is the last part. Now, what does this thing do to you guys? in your professional relationships, in your jobs, in everything that you do, the businesses that you keep, because this lack of accountability even affects you guys in business. And the reality is, even to a level of, you find many women saying that they will rather work for a man than work for a woman. That's how bad it is. You guys make the worst managers out there, and it's the truth. It's the truth. You are not nice co-workers. It's a mess because it's this lack of accountability. Now let's dive into it. A lot of women that lack accountability, you struggle with feedback, particularly from your seniors or even the people that are working around you. You struggle with feedback and interacting with your managers. You may blame other colleagues for projects that fail or your lack of performance. You become difficult to manage. You become difficult to deal with. You may struggle in terms of performance reviews. You don't want to accept that you're not doing a good job. You can't interpret interpersonal relationships and criticism, and you see it as disrespect. Whenever somebody criticizes you or gives you feedback, you see it as disrespect. You may refuse to acknowledge your weaknesses. You repeat the same workplace mistakes. Any job that you change, you repeat the same things. You don't want to change. Colleagues will never trust you. That's the unfortunate thing. And a lot of you who lack accountability, you struggle to work in teams. You can't work with people. So in a nutshell, this is not the last part. I'm going to create a secondary video giving you the solutions of how to become better as a woman when you struggle with accountability. So I hope this video was helpful. Please like and subscribe. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, I'll make the second video. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of what type of personality you're going to have as a woman when you lack accountability. But anyway, again, please like and subscribe. Thank you.